A couple of years ago, I sold my Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical because at the time I couldn't find another alternative to that watch that solved the problems that I wanted solved. But Hamilton recently released a new watch that addresses those issues that I had. And I think that it might be a near perfect field watch from Hamilton. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Abdullah. I talk about watches. If you like that kind of thing, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Really helps. So you might have seen a lot of YouTubers just kind of dropping this positive bombardment on the new Hamilton Khaki Field Expedition. The thing is, I love Hamilton watches. I've written about them. I've owned a Hamilton for a really long time. It was a watch that I never thought I would sell, and it was something that I wanted for a very long time. My kind of, love for the brand has been there ever since I got into watches. But everyone that reviewed that watch talked about one feature in particular, which was the bezel, the compass bezel. And that was the one thing that I could not connect with. Personally, I would never use it. You guys know, I only talk about watches that I find interesting. I didn't find that interesting. And then I got hands-on with it. So I looked at it from a different approach. I forgot about the bezel, just put that aside and looked at the rest of the watch to see how I felt about it. One of the reasons why I sold it was because I was not wearing it as much as I wanted to wear it. And the reason for that was its water resistance, 50 meters of water resistance. Now, I do own some vintage watches. I own a couple of dress watches. And the whole idea for me of owning those watches is that they're not everyday watches. They're not tools that I could just, wear when I'm working. I'm going to wear them in a very controlled environment where they're not going to get anywhere near water or where I could bang them up. For my everyday watch, I want a strong, durable, rugged tool watch. The problem with the Khaki Field Mechanical is that it's aesthetically a field watch. It's based on a field watch from Hamilton, but it doesn't work as a field watch today. It doesn't work as a durable, robust sports watch today. It's a tribute watch. I didn't like that. And with this new watch, I think finally Hamilton has solved those problems and made a proper tool watch. Before I talk about what I like and I dislike about this watch, let's go over the spec sheet. The watch comes in a 41mm stainless steel case with a slim height of 11.5mm, a fan favorite lug width of 20mm, and a lug-to-lug of 48mm. You get a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective treatment covering the dial, and finally 100 meters of water resistance with a screw-down crown. For those thinking that screw-down crown is kind of an overkill with just 100 meters of water resistance, based on my research, when you have 100 meters of water resistance but not a screw-down crown, the watch is still not as watertight. Most watchmakers will recommend you not to, wear it swimming. While the case finishing is fairly simple, I like how you've got prominent brushing throughout, all seemingly wrapped around the case. I feel like this is one of those areas, those simple attention to details that elevate this from a steel case on like a $200 steel watch. The dial is fairly simple, with the focus being on legibility more than anything else. You have thick, bold Arabic numerals contrasting against the white dial, with minimal text and a printed minute track with applied lume denoting the hours. The hands are broad, with a faux patina that works really well against the otherwise clean dial. Just makes it feel less clinical. On the outside, you have a radially brushed stainless steel bidirectional rotating bezel, which acts as a compass. The movement inside is the caliber H10, which is essentially the Swiss ETA C07611, seen in many other models by Hamilton, and has a similar movement architecture to the ETA 2824. But Hamilton has modified it to have an extended power reserve of 80 hours. Now, this is a completely personal preference, but I like the fact that this has exhibition case back. And that kind of leads me back to my love of Hamilton in those early days. So it's just kind of a nostalgic thing having a case back where you can see that automatic Swiss caliber. It makes for an awesome gateway for people that are just getting into Swiss watches. And even though it is minimally finished, I still personally love the visual design of EDA calibers. You have the specs, you have the versatile visual design, and a rotating bezel that, in the least, fulfills your fidgety needs. This reference comes paired with a thick 20mm dark brown leather strap. You could play around with so many different straps. That's what I would do. You can choose between 3 different dial colors, 2 sizes, and 2 strap options. Me having a 6.23-inch wrist, I think this 41mm looks a bit too hefty on my wrist, so I would choose the 37mm. I like that this watch has an exhibition case back. I like the finishing, even though it's minimally done, it's all satin brushed, it's still done very, very well for the money. And most of all, I love that it now has 100 meters of water resistance instead of 50 with a screw down crown this time. That makes it a proper rugged companion that you could just wear on almost all your adventures. But the one thing I'm not a fan of is the impracticality of this rotating bezel. Rotating bezels on dive watches can be used to time things. A 24-hour bezel like the one on the Rolex Explorer can be used to track the 24-hour time display, which comes in handy when traveling. For me, that is a much more practical function when traveling than a compass, which I'll never use. But on the positive side, it does give the dial a better balance than if it weren't there. It gives it a purpose, like the Navi timer, where you'll most likely never use slide rule bezel, but it becomes the go-to flight watch because it is designed for that environment. Even if you don't use it, it is capable of delivering. And I think that, more than anything, is the point of this. What I like about the field watch design of Hamilton in particular is that they're heavily inspired by their own past. And that gives their watches a sense of timeless originality that contemporary field watches don't always seem to have. I like this new approach. And I think that it would be really cool if this becomes kind of the blueprint for future models where you have different style of bezels, different types of bezels that we could kind of pick and choose from. So you have a 24-hour bezel, you have a dive bezel, you have a compass bezel within the same watch. That would be so cool. Anyway, that's it for me. Sorry about the long rant in the beginning. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you already haven't. Also, if you're into tool watches that can do anything, check out this video.